Hi, Dr. Caroline Carpenter here. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I unfucked my amygdala and the five-step system that works for my clients in stepping into embodying the soulful CEO. And what that means is taking full control of your life. So I'm going to walk you through how I did it for me and how my clients do it for themselves. And when they apply this process, life gets easier and business gets better. So let's start out with who this is not for. This is not for you if you're not ready to do the inner work in order to move both your business and life forward, or if you love pain and suffering and would rather keep hustling until you can't hustle anymore. This training won't speak to you. So if that's you, you can save some time. But if it's not you, stay tuned because we're going to go through some really cool stuff. So if you're a high achieving woman ready to become the soulful CEO who naturally builds a business that supports your life, not the other way around, this is for you. And if you're ready to enjoy the process and create a life and business by design while saying yes to your core values and who you truly are at the deep core, this is for you. And if you're a woman with a desire to scale by connecting to your purpose and your bigger vision, getting what you actually want and eliminating the unnecessary friction, this is for you. And if you're a woman who wants to live life to the fullest and only say yes to what aligns with you so that everything you want flows naturally, stay tuned. So, in my work, here's what I see a lot. Many women tell me that they experience something kind of like an invisible block. They can't really put their finger on it, but what we can land on is it's a block and it's invisible and it must be inside. That's what they tell me. They tell me it makes their goals feel almost impossible to reach no matter what they do, or just really, really hard, way harder than it should be. And maybe their action is on point, but things just aren't working out the way it should be. Or things look great on paper, but they don't feel successful. They don't feel what everyone else sees. And it typically shows up loudest and first in business. And then when we start peeling the layers back after about 3 questions, there's secondary and tertiary, second and third order places that this shows up in life, personal life, relationships, whatever it may be. So if any of this resonates or you're like, oh, that sounds like me, maybe, I don't know, it's not your fault. And I will also tell you, you have the power to create a business and life from ease and flow. So this is going to be deep rooted on an unconscious level, programmed from the ages of 0 to 7. Women tell me they've known for a while that something just wasn't quite right, but they've never been able to pinpoint the problem. And most women don't know that parent programming is stored in the body, and this can make moving forward feel unnecessarily hard, especially when the parent programming is not aligned with where they're going. So it's like a conflict, an internal battle every time they go to make big leaps forward, or it can feel like 3 steps forward and 5 steps back. So the good news is this can be fixed. Now, here's what happens if you don't fix it. No strategy is going to solve this, no external strategy, and it's most likely going to add gasoline to the wrong fire. Ask me how I know. I see so many women doing everything but the inner work, keeping them stuck in their current paradigm, which is why I created the Soulful CEO for women who want to get what they want with ease. So you might be thinking, it sounds great. Is this possible? And that's exactly what we're going to cover. Why you'll never out earn your psychology, the 5 steps to unfuck your amygdala, and how to embody the soulful CEO. Unfucking is step 1, and then we step into the soulful CEO. And this is where your life changes when you give yourself permission for things to be easy. So a lot of times I hear on the outside, everyone sees a powerful, successful woman, but on the inside, I feel like I'm holding it all together by a thread. Or some version of, I don't want to work this hard forever, but I feel like if I stop or slow down, it's all gonna fall apart and I'm gonna lose all my progress. But also if I keep going, I'm gonna implode. So this was me. I had a thriving brick and mortar business hitting 10 to 20K months for over a decade. Everyone thought I had it all together, but what they didn't see was behind the scenes, I was anxious and I was overwhelmed and I was afraid it would all fall apart at any moment. Fear was a big part of my life on the daily basis, and I couldn't tell how much it had driven my life until it didn't anymore. So it's a wild thing how how it's easy to get used to those emotions fueling action from the fear and survival and scarcity place. But I was secretly wishing to escape the prison that I had built by default because I didn't know how to do it by design. I didn't know how. So I ended up trying to control every detail of my business because I thought that was the only way to keep things from falling apart. I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. I was sick of waking up every morning to struggle even more. Over 10 years, this happened. I would usually wake up with neck tension, some kind of back tension, maybe a migraine. I would get migraines at least once a month, lots of physical symptoms. My body was always tense. I could not stretch enough. I could not get enough massages. I could not supplement enough. It seemed like nothing would actually solve the problem, and it was like chipping away just grains of sand at a time at a brick wall. This was my breaking point. I knew something had to change, and the answer was not in more business strategies. So when I finally learned about the power of the amygdala, that's when everything changed for me. And I was equal parts empowered and pissed. Empowered because I was like, wow, this makes sense. All the doctor's visits I'd had where there was nothing showing on my blood work, all the times I knew something was not right inside, all the times that I could feel things that I couldn't explain to someone outside of myself because they couldn't understand what was happening on my internal world, all made sense. The emotional, the mental, and the physical symptoms that will accompany amygdala hijack can look like chronic disease, health issues, all the things, right? And I'm not a medical doctor, but I experienced this for a very long time. So I was empowered and pissed that no one told me this sooner. So I'm bringing it to you now. But when I finally aligned my conscious mind and my unconscious mind, so my goals with my programming, this is where stuff started happening lightning speed. I could take bold action without being hijacked back to survival mode. And by the way, the amygdala, it's two little almond-sized organs in your brain attached to your body that had memorized what was safe from 0 to 7 in health, in relationships, and with money, and how you see yourself. So that little thing memorized the boundaries of the game board you're playing on. And what it'll do is it will pull you back by any means possible as soon as you get close to that boundary. Kind of like the dome in the Hunger Games, where you get close to the dome and then you get shocked really good if you've seen the movie. And then Katniss changed the whole thing. I'm going to show you how to be Katniss. So I finally figured out how to move forward without getting hijacked back to survival mode that my amygdala had memorized as safe. Safe meaning what I'd survived, not where my goals were. So this is where I officially learned the game board of what I call the psychology of wealth. And I learned how to change what flowed into my life using this system. So the amygdala hijack, which was previously blocking everything I wanted from the inside, had become my unfair advantage. I became the Katniss. So once I could identify the markers signaling what I was about when I was about to cross the boundary that my amygdala had memorized, I could change the outcome that previously seemed to have a mind of its own as long as I followed the system that I'm going to show you. And this is the cheat code to ultimate freedom. So after I figured this out, this is when I started showing up in my life as the soulful CEO that I always wanted to be and that I knew deep down I was, but it felt disconnected, right? So once I figured this out and applied it to my life, it also translated to business. And so to me, the soulful CEO isn't just about achieving business success, but becoming the soulful CEO of your whole life, taking control of your life, taking complete ownership, and taking ownership of your reality. So soulful CEOs know how the character, player, and programmer and the game board keeper play the key roles in getting what you want really fast. Character is the body. You will always be limited by the character capacity until you upgrade, and then you have more features to do. The player is the person moving the character around, and this is where skill and strategy and thinking ahead and higher cognition come in. The programmer writes the whole code. And interestingly enough, most people address player skills through strategy. Characters where 90% of the change happens. So this is where I work. This is where the magic happens for me and my clients. So soulful CEOs know that doing more of what isn't working, more strategies, won't move the needle and they see the world differently. So once I finally made the shift, I said yes to my life on my terms and goodbye to hustle culture and burnout. And this is where I built the life and business that I loved waking up to, which led to my real mission, which is to help high achieving women build their life and business in flow as a soulful CEO of her own life, calling the shots, taking ownership, making changes. So the ultimate freedom is knowing what you want and getting it. Let's talk about the old way. Old way is going between hustle and burnout, struggle, and doing everything the hard way. Overthinking every decision, worrying when it's all going to come crashing down, and believing that you have to work hard to get the reward. Running from what's inside with nonstop grinds, and sacrificing things you love just to hit the goal. Obsessing over thoughts all day long so you don't manifest the wrong thing, and knowing deep down you're missing out on the special moments, and one day you may look back and regret. Effectively, you're the bottleneck. So that's also the good news, because with the new way, you choose authenticity over hustle, make bold moves with calm and focused confidence, create life first business you love on your terms, only do what's aligned with your core values, enjoy being in your own body and in your own reality, do the inner work to make the outer world easy, masculine and feminine energies align, letting go of what you don't want to get what you do want, manifesting through action align with values, and feeling at ease with your future, knowing that the power of the universe also works in flow. This is next level power and next level, what's it called? Minimal effective dose. This is where you do a little and get a lot back. You've just got to follow the system. And letting go of what you don't want to get what you do, I want to touch on this. It is astounding to me looking back on what I saw in practice when I had a brick and mortar as a chiropractor. How my patients, when the pain would disappear or their problem would be gone, would desperately search to find it again so that they could feel comfortable, even though they were bummed. Like, would work to recreate the problem and then be like, oh, there it is. Yep, there it is. Mind blowing. Mind blowing. So imagine what it would feel like to step into the soulful CEO and take bold moves with ease and flow. So here it is, the method, my 5-step signature method that gives you an unfair advantage by reprogramming the danger code to get what you want with ease and flow as a soulful CEO. So step 1, hijack awareness. You have to know what your hijack looks like. It will be the same and it will show up the same, slightly differently, but it's going to have the same structure. 2, regulate your nervous system. Now, there's a lot of people teaching down regulation, but what they're missing is the rest of the system. So by just managing hijack, we end up managing a problem versus down regulating to take the next move. So the next move is bold action, which is the one thing that will change the game board. After you reflect and integrate, which is step 4, this is where 3 tests show up, and then unfucking your amygdala. And this is the game board with the psychology of wealth. So, hijack awareness. This is all about understanding when and how your amygdala is hijacked. It's not about never getting hijacked. It's about noticing when you do so that you know how to respond and keep moving forward. This is how we begin understanding the danger codes and the deep-rooted misalignment between the conscious intention and the unconscious mind. Step 2, down-regulating the nervous system. If you feel emotionally drained, anxious, bored, or overwhelmed before doing that thing you know you need to do, it's an indication you need to down-regulate your nervous system in order to take the bold step. It's not about slowing down. It's about managing your response and how you respond emotionally so you don't freeze up or, on the flip side, burn out. Now, you might be saying, how does emotion have anything to do with this? The emotional system, the immune system, the mental cognition, and neurology are all connected. It's called psychoneuroimmunology. So if you can get control of this, you can change so many things in life. And you might be thinking, what do you mean boredom? Boredom is avoidant and anxious's mature older sister. Below boredom, there will be another emotional trigger or a visceral response in the system. So, step 3, taking the bold action. What is the one thing that you need to do the most that you want to do the least? No matter what income level you're at, there are going to be subconscious beliefs running the show. That's how it works. We have to have automatic programming. If we had to think every time that our heart beat, that our lungs expanded and contracted, that our brain were to send a signal, we'd never have time for anything. The unconscious mind consumes and translates 3 exabytes of information per second. You want that automatic programming working. You just want it working in your favor according to your goals. And that's what we're going to change. So you might have beliefs running the show that aren't helpful when you're not paying attention, aka when you're asleep. So maybe it's the belief that you have to hustle hard or suffer to maintain your success, or maybe that you're not cut out to achieve that next income ceiling. Total BS, but here's the thing. We've got to find those things to uproot them so they stop pulling in the wrong thing to you when you're not paying attention. So this is where we reprogram the beliefs that no longer align with the future you, that are connected to the emotion and the visceral response, that it can be the physical symptom. Part 4, reflect and integrate. It's really important to take this time for integration for the lessons and rewrite the danger codes. This is literally about the neurology reforming. There is a highway of neurons running in your body that works. It's already built. It's a physical structure. It has to rebuild. So it does take integration time to rebuild. So this isn't about pass or fail. It's about expanding your container and taking the lessons to make it easier to manage future hijacks, or as I like to say, leverage them in your favor. Fully integrating this as you change your way of being in the world. So it doesn't get easier. You get better at being able to find the hijacks, leverage them in your favor, and change your game board to move through it. And to notice this is an opportunity that everyone else sees as a problem. And so this is where I'm going to leverage and have the edge and get ahead. So you respond with neurology and you have increased capacity, which is emotional resilience. Number 5, unfuck your amygdala. When you repeat this cycle, you're going to reprogram your subconscious mind and rewrite the danger codes that previously hijacked you back to survival. It's kind of like working out, right? Like you're not looking, when you're starting out, you probably don't look forward to it, but like after you get in there and get all the blood flowing and feel the positive results, you're like, all right. And you might not look forward to it every time, but you start associating that positive reward on the other side with doing the thing. So this is where you rewrite the codes that previously hijacked you back to survival. And you've got emotional mastery at play here. Like once you do this enough, this is emotional mastery, which is the full embodiment of the soulful CEO. So no matter what is thrown at you, you're going to know what to do with it. So this is where you get to watch yourself consistently and confidently take the bold action again and again and again without fear, doubt, or hesitation controlling action. But here's the cool thing. When you do feel if you're like, oh, I don't ever want to feel a big emotion again, it will happen more than likely if you're continually expanding, and the bigger the emotion, the bigger the identity shift possible. Now, you don't have to take the big leap, but you can choose, right? Once you learn the system, you can choose how fast to go. That's the beauty of it. So you're going to access the ultimate freedom of knowing what you want and getting it, and even controlling how fast you go. Ultimate freedom. Psychology of wealth. You will never out-earn your psychology. So whether what you're earning is in health, wealth, or relationships, you're not going to go past your psychology. And many people tell me this shows up in their business first, but then once we peel back the layers, they realize the fear of outgrowing partners and relationships or even familiar circumstance. That's called secondary gain, meaning there's multiple problems connected to one problem. But once you learn how to navigate the hijack, this is where we start meeting needs that kept you in survival mode in other categories that may have been behind the scenes. There will be. So no matter where this is showing up, the process is powerful and turns perceived problems into an immediate reality upgrade. So why would someone want to implement this? Emotional freedom, like emotional freedom, financial freedom, physical freedom, ultimate freedom. So when you give yourself permission for it to be easy, this is where you embody the soulful CEO. The vibe is, it's going to be fun or I'm not going to do it. Imagine having the emotional freedom no matter what you're faced with, no matter what challenge, no matter what tough decision shows up. It just translates into all areas of your life, and you get to choose, and you get to choose what to do and how fast you go, period. And where you also just enjoy being in your body and love the life you're living. Like literally wake up loving where you are. So imagine stepping away from the feast and famine cycle and instead confidently creating from the core of who you really are, from your values and your future vision, deciding what you do, when you do it, how you do it, and what you really want. And if you even want to do the thing. So when your decisions are no longer driven by fear, doubt, or halted by hesitation or indecision, you're going to create consistent momentum however you wish. And this is how you change your life. So many women sacrifice their personal life and relationships in the pursuit of business or feel like they have to choose one or the other. That is not this game. This game is you get to have it all. There's no either or here. If you want it all, it's yours. So when you embody the soulful CEO identity and build a business that supports your lifestyle, you get personal fulfillment and stronger relationships. And stronger relationships is ultimately the key to unlocking everything else. Wealth, health, vitality. We are relationship machines. We are built for connection. And when you learn how to truly connect because you're aligned with your authentic you and not managing the stress of the life you never planned out or the business that you didn't intend to build, life completely changes. So you might be thinking, that sounds awesome. Will this work for me? For the longest time, I thought I was karmically cursed and the one special human that the thing that should have worked didn't work on. Enter Caroline Dean. Now, I chose to go deep on one client versus high level on 7 or 8, and I'm going to hit the high points of this. Go back and read this if you wish. It's good stuff, but I want to hit the bold things. High level tangibles that she got was 6 hours back each day that she would spend in freeze mode on the couch, doom scrolling, shame spiraling in her mind when she knew she should be doing other things, but she just couldn't because she was using so much of her energy just to exist. So she got 6 hours of her day back and she doubled her income in 4 weeks and she built a wait list of clients and all of her relationships improved and she's no longer afraid of conflict and knows how to navigate amygdala hijack to completely change her game board in an instant. And she determines how fast she goes. So in her words, she was stuck avoiding conflict and would be frozen for hours. She had tried CBT, DBT, talk therapy, and even EMDR, and they gave her awareness, but nothing changed from day to day in her life. She still didn't really trust herself, even with the basics, just a ton of awareness, right? And so from her perspective, fear controlled everything. Conflict terrified her, and she'd avoid emotions by numbing out. And she realized in order to shift things after learning my system, she had to hit her emotional resistance head on with a guide to guide her through it because it's scary, right? The amygdala knows exactly what will pull you back to survival. It memorized this from 0 to 7. So prior to language, this little organ has been so close with who you truly are that it knows how to pull the strings. And until you understand how to get past the boundary, it can seem like you're just being controlled. So she learned how to navigate what she'd been avoiding for years. And for the first time, she felt in control of her entire life, not just her business, her whole life. She felt like this went lightning speed, which was kind of scary to her because she was used to putting tons of effort in without the needle really moving, maybe a little bit. Kind of like the patients in my clinic when I had a brick and mortar, when they would get really, really good results based on how I did things. It didn't make sense because it hadn't happened before. And her income doubled, 3 regular clients a week to between 13 and 16, and a wait list of clients who align. Now, the lightning speed that doesn't make sense comes from the fact that this is not necessarily a conscious process. The conscious mind compromises 10%. The character or body and the character player programmer model is 90% of where the magic happens, and that's where I go in. And we go through the portal of what your body tells you and make changes at that level. So that's how this can go that fast. So her relationships have also transformed. Biggest shift, she trusts herself. Trust to navigate challenges, take bold action, and to live the life she loves. So she's built not only a thriving business and she gets to have both a thriving business and fulfilling relationships. No more internal chaos, life on her terms. So, who this works for? If you are a client facing business or you are the face of your business, this is ideal because it will require the authentic version of you to connect with people and draw in your soulmate clients and building the life you love and the business you love based on who you truly are. So, coaches, consultants, leaders, speakers, experts, small business owners, online entrepreneurs, and any other client facing business. So, two ways to work with me. If you're like, this sounds like what I need, or I need some help, or I want to know more, there's two ways to work with me. There is Unfuck Your Amygdala, which is my program. We have group coaching calls. There's a private community that you'll have access to. There's an entire course curriculum and access to past coaching calls. I'm a big believer in vicarious healing and group work. I've done a lot of my healing in very specific, beautiful group containers. And there's also quarterly workshops. Now, there's going to be more bonuses, but this is all I'm going to show you. I'd rather over deliver and under promise versus over promise and under deliver. And there's also the fast lane, which is where we add interventions. This is everything included in Unfuck Your Amygdala, plus the one-on-one deep neurological work with me with direct access. So if you're ready to take the next step to fully embody the Soulful CEO and build the business and life around your life on your terms, shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform you're seeing this on. Send me the word hijack and let's chat.